Hello YouTube and welcome back to my channel. It's Dirty Dems aka Demo Graphics, and today we're back with another Blackbook entry. I'll start off by showing you a previous sketch that I've done recently in the Blackbook, and if you're interested in seeing how that went, you can always see the video on my channel, so just go back a few videos and you'll find it. It's the Transformers sketch that I did. So this is the previous one. It's a 2-page Transformers themed sketch. You can see there's Optimus Prime down here, and you've got a Devastator here. So Devastator's in the corner. Got Unicron up there. Blitzwing, that's it, Blitzwing. So Blitzwing turns into a jet plane, and he also turns into a tank. So you've got Blitzwing there, and you've got the Ark, which is the Autobot spaceship that flies off. So that's it, yeah, full colour sketch. So we're going to try and do something similar along these lines. Really, these videos are just a time lapse, so you can just see how I colour in these sketches. I spend quite some time doing them freehand, like hand drawn, in pencil first, and then I add the black pen marker. So that here is what we're going to be working on today, and this is the opposite way round. So it's like this, it's portrait, it's a 2-page spread again, and it's the Power Rangers. So if you see, I've done all the different Power Rangers in there. You've got the White Ranger here with the tiger helmet, you've got the bad guy, Lord Zed, and then you've got a Megazord up here. So that's going to be walking through some lightning, and we've got the Green Ranger, which I've penciled in that corner. Just thought it'd be important to include him. But yeah, I think I've got most of the Power Rangers characters on there. There's so many, but I've tried to get all the relevant ones on there, and we're going to try and colour it in. So my idea is, I've been doing a lot of these black ink outlines, and that's how I've been working, like almost like a colouring book. I start taking pictures of them in black and white, and then create my own colouring book. Which you'll then be able to order off my website or Etsy once I've set that up. Right, so I'm doing a voiceover. So hello guys. You can see that I've added this transparent paper. I think it's like a tracing paper, or a bit like baking paper. I think I use this paper for doing my heat press stuff, so it's for vinyl transfers on t-shirts, but it was see-through, so I managed to trace and cut out the stencil, and now I'm just adding on. So I'm going in with the airbrush, adding in colours, experimenting with the airbrush at the moment. I haven't used the airbrush for a while, so just trying to get the hang of it again. Okay, so as you've just seen, that was a little bit of a disaster. Didn't really work that well. I've tried a variety of techniques, something new. If you don't try things, you don't learn. I've not used my airbrush for a while, so I thought I'd get that out and have a play with it. I'm going to need more practice. So I used it initially, starting off blowing the graphic markers with the airbrush, trying to get some colour on there, like a kind of spray kind of feel to it. It wasn't coming out quick enough, so I decided to switch over to some drawing ink, which I loaded into the airbrush, and that was the blue that you saw me doing. Felt that wasn't really sort of generating that kind of lightning, kind of moody sky effect that I was trying to create. So then I tried some black drawing ink, and when doing that wasn't working. I think the inks are quite old. The pigment wasn't very strong, it was very watery, so that wasn't coming out. I put some acrylic ink in it, that didn't work, and so I switched back over to using the permanent marker. So I was using this permanent marker black, and I was using the airbrush to try and blow some of the permanent ink onto the page, but that was just blasting it out too thick and blotchy, and whilst doing that I tilted the airbrush over and I still had some of the black drawing ink loaded into the pot of the airbrush, and that dripped out and went under my masking, and it sort of bled through. So I'm going to try and correct that with some white acrylic paint, see if I can cover it up, mask it up, use some paints to try and hide that. But I'm going to get there with this airbrush thing. I just need a bit more practice. I've also used a bit of black spray paint around the edges, so I've sprayed the black around the edges, and that sort of helped with the look of things. I'll create like a moody night sky with some colours in it. And I'm going to go over with a Tipp-Ex pen. So I used a rubber, and that seemed to have worked, so I've rubbed it and got all the sticky glue off with the rubber. So that's good that I managed to save it that way. But yeah, it's not going as smoothly as I had hoped. So here I'm just painting over the splashes where it's leaked under with the black ink. So I'm using acrylic white, and I'm using a heat gun to dry that. I'm going to give it a couple of coats of white acrylic, and then it should be dry and ready for sketching over, hopefully. Okay, so another thing that I tried was masking it with a tracing paper, because I didn't have the masking paper, because you can buy this artistic specialist masking paper. It's transparent, you cut it out and you stick it down and you use it for airbrushing. When you peel it off, it's very low tack, so you don't get any sticky stuff on your drawing. I didn't have any of that, so I thought I'll use some tracing paper, and that's what I created my stencil with, to mask off the Megazord and the top of the Power Rangers logo. So I've stuck that down. I've sprayed it with some spray mount, and I was just praying that that wouldn't be too bad. So I've done that. It hasn't worked so great, so I used it. It did mask off the area, and then I got some where the ink went underneath, it kind of spilt through to the letters, and that's what kind of ruined the lettering. But I've corrected it now with some white acrylic paint, so hopefully I can paint over that. But yeah, if I was to do it again, I'd get that specialist masking paper, because the way I did it with the spray mount, it left like a sticky residue. Here I'm just finishing off, bringing the sky down with blacks and trying to bring that dark colour down. Now I'm adding in some red, working my way down from the top of the Megazord, just filling in the colours. So you can see I just sort of covered up some of the patches with some dark grey around the edges of the logo where there was a spillage, and I'll try and blend that in a bit more later on in the process. For the moment I'm just working on the Megazord. Now I've started on the Green Ranger and doing the top of the Mighty Morphin logo, and you can see I've changed it from Power Rangers to Dirty Dems. That's just the custom element to the sketch. I'm following a design off the phone, so I'm looking at my phone, looking at the colours, trying to colour match as best as I can as I work my way through the design. So just adding in the darker tones now, just working my way around the logo, just shading it in with a bit of dark grey. It's a tip that I learnt from Ding, another graffiti artist from the Netherlands. So shout out to Ding for giving me the tips on using the dark grey to shade over the colours with, because it's a kind of, it's not black, but it's a kind of a transparent darker colour, so it adds a tonal effect to any of the colours you've laid down previously. So now I'm working down into the other portion of the design, and you can see down here we have all the characters. So I'm just working around the characters, adding in dark grey and some black, and just layering it up. So I'm filling in all the negative spaces behind the characters. I've opted to do some sort of stripy lines. I tried to do them freehand, but I went for a ruler and used a ruler just to get that straight edge to the lines. Now I'm doing the legs. So I'm starting off with the Red Ranger. I'm using a variation of 3 types of red, like a tonal range. So a light raspberry red, a medium red and a dark red. And then I've moved on to the Black Ranger. Obviously I can't paint the Black Ranger all black, so I'm using like dark greys and black combination there to create that 3D effect for the Black Ranger. Now we're going on to the Pink Ranger. I did get a bit of bleed here on this character. I think in future I'd use a different outline pen when I'm doing my inking and outlining, because the permanent marker seems to sort of bleed along with the graphic markers that I'm using. So in future I'll opt for a different black line pen, see what doesn't bleed. So I'm going to include this picture for a minute just to look at the bleed on the helmet of the Pink Ranger. You can see where the purple, well the pink, has reacted with the black line ink and it's made it very purpley. So I'm going to go around at the end with some colouring pencils and try and shade it out. I started working on the Golden Ranger, and to create that golden effect I've used a tonal range of yellow, like an orangey yellow and a brown, to get that golden look. And I'm just going around with the colouring pencils, as you can see, just shading it in, using a black shaded pencil and a purple shaded pencil, just to get some details and some sort of shades to the colours that I've just laid down with the graphic markers. This is a nice effect. I'm now adding in the white that I said I was going to add in earlier with the Tipp-Ex pen. Found this method quite sort of rough and a bit messy. I would use maybe an airbrush to get like more of a hazy electric effect to the lightning bolts, because this is a bit globby, and maybe it could be toned down with an airbrush. Something I might come back to in the future, but for now this will have to do. But it just separates, you see I'm going around the characters with some white as well, it separates them from the background. Alright, so we got to the end of the video, and yeah, we had a few mistakes in this process, but it's all a learning curve, so there's no bad content, just good content. If I would do it again, I would be careful when using the airbrush. So I'm going to get the hang of the airbrush, look at cleaning it out, maybe getting a new airbrush, I don't know. I'm going to play around with my equipment. It's the first time using the airbrush since moving into my new studio, so I've got to get to grips with it. And I would try and airbrush the background again. I used a bit of spray paint at the top on the black, so spray can loop spray paint on the black. So in order to get these lightning bolts on here, I've used like a Tipp-Ex pen. It's a bit blobby, but it does the job enough. And I've also gone round the outside of the characters just to separate them from the black background, as you can see. But yeah, I enjoy using the Tipp-Ex pen. I would like to find a finer way of doing white lines. It's just that the white pens don't really show up on the on top of the markers, so I'm finding that the Tipp-Ex is quite nice because it's nice and thick. But yeah, I'll find a new way of doing white lines. So you saw earlier on in the video there was a bit where the ink had leaked underneath the kind of the masking that I'd made, and it'd gone on here, and I've covered it up with some Tipp-Ex and some paint, so you can't really see it as much now, but that was a mistake that happened during the process. So again, that's down to poor technique and not really mastering the airbrush, and I just need to be more careful when I'm applying the inks to the paper, because once you make a mistake it's very hard to come back from that, because with markers it's not as forgiving as spray paint. You can just keep painting over this sort of stuff on a wall, whereas when you're doing it on paper it's there's a lot more skill involved. So I would like to work on possibly some more outlines in my Blackbook, and I'm thinking of doing like a kind of a trade, like a sketch battle, not really a battle but just a name swap. So I might do another artist name and do the graffiti, as well in the sketch, and then they do one for me, so stay tuned to see if that happens. There's an artist in the Netherlands called Ding, and he's really good at outlines. He won the SMO competition, and we've been chatting quite a lot on Instagram, and we're probably going to do like a Robocop versus Terminator trade. So he'll do my name and maybe pick like Terminator, and I'll do the Robocop. But we're both sort of into the same sort of thing, and we've both got a similar sketching style. So that's it. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Peace.
After 10,000 years, I'm free. It's time to conquer Earth.
Alpha, Reader's Escape. Recruit a team of teenagers with attitudes.